sixth indicted Baltimore police officer has reversed his plea in the federal corruption trial that looms.
Yeah, Sergeant Wayne Jenkins has now pleaded guilty for his role in the robbery, extortion, and fraud ring while leading the elite Baltimore Police Department gun unit. ABC 2 News investigative reporter Brian Kubler is here right now with details that we learned in court today. Brian.
Jamie, Wayne Jenkins not only pleaded guilty to several counts in that original indictment of this corruption case, he also admitted to his role in the planting of evidence in a 2010 case that sent two men to federal prison. Following the lead of his own detectives Gondo, Hendricks, Rayam, Ward, and Sergeant Tom Allers, Wayne Jenkins decided not to fight the federal government and plead guilty. 9 counts total in 2 different indictments: racketeering, robbery, altering records, and depriving the freedom and liberty of 2 men by planting evidence in a case that sent them to prison.
Anything you want to say on behalf of Wayne?
Jenkins' family had nothing to add outside of court today, but his attorney did, expressing that the former sergeant was sorry.
Mr. Jenkins is extremely remorseful. He's been remorseful for a long time, even before these charges were brought.
But inside, as Judge Catherine Blake summed up the plea agreement signed by Jenkins, we learned new information about the sergeant who led the corrupt gun unit. Jenkins admits to stealing prescription drugs that were originally looted from pharmacies during the riots. He stole dirt bikes and even copped to planting BB handguns on suspects who were never armed in the first place. When discussing restitution as part of the agreement, the government said it would have to recalculate how much Jenkins owes as it recovered some of the stolen goods, saying in court that the FBI dive team recovered watches from underwater and were able to return them to victims. Further details illuminating the depth of corruption by Jenkins and company that today's plea proves goes back at least as far as 2010. When asked by Judge Blake if the former sergeant had anything else to say before accepting his guilty plea, he said, quote, "No, ma'am, I am ashamed of myself."
He's relieved that today, finally, he was publicly able to accept responsibility for his conduct. Thank you.
Now, Jenkins was the leader of this unit. Many of the detectives that pleaded out before him were prepared to testify. Jenkins' plea may signal his willingness to cooperate with the feds as well in this corruption case, known as Broken Boundaries, continues to widen. Meanwhile, there are just 2 left to stand trial. Detectives Daniel Hersel and Marcus Taylor are scheduled to go before judge and jury later this month. Jenkins' sentencing is now scheduled for April. He faces a max of 30 years in prison.